8 o'clock,
So
straight
maybe
up.
Sunday
Okay.
morning to drive back?
Are you ready?
His brother flew out and said he could drive the minivan.
Okay, I'm gonna call this meeting of the Public Health and Safety Standing Committee meeting of August 26th to order. Thank you for the meeting minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a question on one of the lines.
Yeah, I was struggling. I almost know which one it is.
Well, I just don't remember having said that. Says Conley added that the RTC, meaning the Resort Tax Committee, cannot micromanage
You
individual
said that,
entities.
that's why it's in quotation marks.
And I was thinking that they should not micromanage.
Well, could not and should not, isn't that the same thing?
Cannot and should not are two different things.
Well,
That's okay.
the micromanage is, you said macromanage. Should not, could not, cannot.
We'll leave it alone.
I don't recall exactly.
If it causes you concern or consternation, we can go back to the minutes and make sure that it's accurate, or the recording and make sure it's accurate.
I don't think that it's that important to be concerned
I
with.
think it's a good point, though. You know, you
Yeah.
gotta come prepared.
Sandy, can I make one comment on the minute?
Sure.
I believe it says in there, reference, our little deal on North Hauser, that, the issue, it mentioned the issue of stopping at Fifth. But I think we also discussed the fact that, I think I'm getting this right, the parked van and trailer are an issue because they block the speed limit sign.
And I
Did
thought,
we, I think we brought that up. Yeah, we did.
we
I
have
remember that.
discussed it in the past. And I think what it says here,
And maybe, I don't have them in front of me, so.
Well, I mentioned the RV in the next sentence.
Oh, you did?
That
Okay.
needs
the
to be
group was
moved every
advised to
5
call,
days.
the group was advised to call dispatch regarding RVs that have not been moved in 5 days.
Okay, that's it, then.
Or
then
any
move-
other infractions they may witness.
Yeah, but I think maybe, because the fact that they're blocking the speed limit sign, you can't see the speed limit sign. Slow to 15 as you go past,
So why don't we add after, the group was advised to call dispatch regarding RVs
I'm gonna stop sending you my minutes.
No.
that block stop signs and have not been moved. Can we do that?
Block speed limit.
Speed
sign.
limit, yeah, I noticed
Yeah.
that.
Thank you.
Block speed limit signs and have not been moved in 5 days. Everyone agree to that change?
Yeah.
Okay. Does somebody want to move to amend the minutes?
I'm moving to amend the minutes of August 12th.
And I'll second that.
Okay.
And all in favor, say aye.
Aye?
Hi.
All right. I see that the chief isn't here today. And I really wanted to get an update on the police grants. We haven't heard about those lately. I wanted to find out what was happening with the school resource officer and the grant for an additional police officer.
And I am not aware of an update on it. It did get turned in, and my understanding is it's a little bit still before we expect to hear back.
Yeah.
As of Friday, we have not heard anything yet.
When
Darn.
was it turned in? Was it turned in recently?
Pardon?
When was it turned in?
Oh, it
Was
was
the
turned in a
deadline?
month or two ago.
Okay.
Probably
It
longer.
was turned in on time,
It was turned in.
although it took a little bit of
Before?
song and dance to make that happen. It actually got lost in the process, and then we made a couple of phone calls and got it back into the system. So it did get submitted.
Okay. It just seems like it's been a really long time.
Oh, and some of them take 10 months after you turn them in before you hear back from them, so.
Well, but then school's over. Okay, fine. And next is the ordinance 973 to update, the solid waste. And it was turned in to our city attorney, who made a bunch of
No.
corrections. Oh, no.
Actually, I can comment to that, because there's 3 copies of it in the packet. You've got the existing ordinance, you've got, the attorney, maybe it's just the 2, the attorney markup, and what he did is what they did at the state level, which is anything that's new is underlined, and anything that's struck out has a line, is struck out. So that's stuff that was in the old and isn't in the new, and the underline is stuff that you're adding. And then there's one that has no lines on it, that just says how it reads. I had a question. There was something that was missing from the other one, and my guess is it was an oversight as opposed to intentional, but I just wanted to make sure you guys looked at it and made a decision about whether you intended to get rid of that part. I want to say it's a G or some, it's got a strike through in it in the attorney copy.
Garbage from other premises.
Yeah, that basically says you can't throw trash away in a trash can that's not yours.
And why would that be struck out?
That was my, it just is. It wasn't in your copy, and my guess is that it was an oversight, not intentional.
So the original one had it?
Yes, it's currently on the book.
I see that it is. So we don't really want to strike it out, correct?
That is council's purview, but my guess is that it was probably not intentional.
I don't think it was either.
In which case, what you could do is just make a motion to add what is marked as G back into it.
Okay, so this particular one, formatted. It looks like what the attorney did is strictly formatting, basically underlining and where I used color to add new stuff. Okay, so
So he added,
it looks like
not to use,
not to use colors to mark.
no, not to use
the-
garbage cans that don't belong to you.
No,
No, our existing code has it.
Oh,
The stuff that we turned into him does not have it, and when he did his markup, where you strike through stuff that's in the old but not in the new, it became evident, oh, was that intentional or was it just an oversight?
see, in the original one, D was garbage from other premises. And somehow it got missed in the one that we were dealing with, so he marked it out.
okay.
So the differences that we have here is that on, B, we added, that is an adequate size for the business.
Right.
We added all attracted waste, and I believe that he added, broadly defined as any discarded material that could reasonably be expected to attract wildlife such as bears, rodents, insects, for instance, food waste. So it looks like that was added to define attractant waste. I don't see that that's a problem. And we added, all attractant waste shall be stored in a bear-resistant container with, in parentheses, 1 bag of non-attractant yard waste may be placed outside the container. So, basically, we added all of C, and he defined attractant waste. Okay? Then, we added, containers shall not be overfilled to prevent closing securely. We added, container locking mechanisms shall not be purposely disabled. And under G was that garbage from other premises, and I think that we should leave that in there. I know we have had people use our garbage cans for their waste, and they don't latch them properly, and then it's all over the alley. So we actually take in our garbage cans into the garage at work, especially on a weekend.
I would too, on a weekend, yeah. I think it's important to leave it in there, although I don't want to get all picayune about this, but, you know, people walking down the street with poop bags, I feel welcome to dump them in somebody's garbage can.
They always dump them in mine,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely, you know, I'm welcome to
Yeah.
just free themselves of the poop bag, but,
Yeah.
that's minor, you know.
Well, at
That's very
least it hasn't got
concerned.
their name on it so that you
Yeah.
can find them.
Well, it's fine.
For their
Yeah.
dog food.
We had people south of town that would dump their trash in there and it would have their old mail rot.
I think that issue is more prevalent for the commercial enterprises, such as the grocery store. You'd be
Yeah.
surprised how much household trash ends up
Mm.
in our dumpster throughout the week, which goes back to having a dumpster adequately sized for your business. It becomes a challenge when it become a dumping ground for
Everyone.
everyone.
And I noticed that the post office did the same thing with notes up there that you're not allowed to put your household trash in theirs, because that was happening there as well.
Well,
So,
I don't know if there's, I think it's been cited as theft of service
Yeah.
in the past.
yeah,
So I don't know if that's defined in the ordinance or needs to be defined in the ordinance.
I think this would give them a choice of two, because for this one, you've got it set that the fines for everything is $100,
exactly.
which I think in fairness might be more than what the theft of services fine is, but that just gives the officer discretion of a couple of different ways to do it.
Yeah, different ways. Warn them the first time.
Like I said, my assumption was that it was not intentionally removed, and I just, and I appreciated when Dennison put it in like that. And when after talking with you last week, when he sent it back, I reached out to him and said, help me understand the underlines and the strike-throughs and whatnot, and he said, I'm doing what they do at the state ordinances, and suddenly it made sense, so.
Okay. So we're, going to leave G back in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think
We also added three
And
more.
just for format, what there'll be a motion to do it in a second, and then I'll say discussion at the table, that's when you make a motion to amend.
Okay.
I had, since the chief isn't here, I'm just gonna talk more than I need to, but, Sunday I heard my dumpster being opened, and I ran out, and some kid was there with a truckload of stuff, and I, you know, of course, I won't name names, but the sheriff's office sent him over to dump stuff in my dumpster. And I said, you ever heard of theft of services? The poor kid was so cute and so young, but he.
So you thought you'd abuse him?
And he said, am I getting in trouble? I said, you're not getting in trouble, but so-and-so deputies get in trouble, but theft of services.
Really?
It's
Yeah.
interesting they told them to go there.
Why, just because you have a dumpster?
Yeah, he told the guy there's a dumpster behind Cedarwood Villa. And so, anyway.
And was it stuff from the sheriff's department or the county?
Well, he said he was doing, he'd gotten in trouble, he was, what's it called?
Community
service, and he had a truckload of, wood and garbage bags.
Maybe you thought it was county.
I think that's a fair conversation to have with them, and say, this is a private can, will you be contributing if you're gonna send people over here?
Well, I know the deputy, and I'm not,
I think
I'm
it's
not,
just-
I think that's.
It's generally frowned on to get a ticket while doing your community service.
And the kid was cute, but it was just interesting that the deputy said, oh, go throw it behind
Very
Cedarwood Villa.
interesting, yeah.
Where do you live?
I know where he lives.
Okay, so we did add 3 additional. Construction sites shall have a bear-resistant container for attractant waste. If a construction dumpster is not bear-resistant, a separate bear-resistant container shall be available for attractant waste. Then we added, all waste must be secured in a way that prevents it from blowing and becoming litter. And construction dumpsters shall be covered and secured when unattended. We also added the fine, which was a violation shall result in a fine of $100 for each offense and each subsequent offense. Each day that a violation occurs or is permitted to exist constitutes a separate offense. So that's pretty strict. Any issues? Hearing none. Okay, it's gonna come in front of the, city council tonight.
It does.
Do you guys want me to pass this on? Do you guys wanna look at it or anything? Okay.
I know, there were a few in there. Well, I mean, we went like from this to this.
She did good.
but it didn't cover what it needed to cover. Update on the Fifth and Hauser painted lines.
It is on the list, and as soon as water lines stop breaking, it'll get done
So we're having water lines break all over town?
daily, yeah. The public works team is very busy.
Wow.
So would you say that it is on the top of the priority list after the water mains?
It's on his get it done yesterday list, so I leave it the individual priority. I can tell you everything that's on his list, but it's up there. So we are not waiting for roads or anything like that. The decision is made, it is done, as soon as they get a chance to go paint it.
Could you give us an estimate when it might get done?
I would anticipate within a couple of weeks, but again, it depends on how many unexpected things we have come up.
It's been about 6 weeks since it came up.
It has, and we've got a water main. Let me go in and kind of pull up what his list looks like. But the last meeting, we made the decision, you're ahead of that, you're ahead of that, you're ahead of that. That one's done. The one thing that I think that'll kind of be in that same time frame is when the Broadway signs come in, they may get swapped out. But as I look at the list right now, that's the top of the projects of to-do list. So it's not, other than the stuff where we've got contractors in town and water mains.
Okay.
Not including our grandchildren, there are 3 families on Fifth with toddlers. And that stop sign yesterday when they're out watering, people are just going right through it. They're not even slowing down and looking, Dave.
Well, and the other thing I will add is I know Chief Schrock has gone out there several times, as have several other officers. I will add, he did go talk to the motorhome.
But he never spoke with the individual because he couldn't.
It wouldn't come out.
Wouldn't answer.
Oh, no, he has spoken with the individual. He has reported that he has gone by and spoken with him.
Well, he didn't say that 2 weeks ago.
No, but since the last meeting, he did. I think it was that day that he went out. He did say that the truck, he's not living in it, so there's not that violation.
Well, then why does he have water and power going to it?
I asked that question, and he said he verified he's not living in it. And I said,
Well, then why
okay.
does he have water and power going to it?
We don't have a rule against having water and power going to it. But he did say he spoke to him. He has been moving it. It is not an infraction to be in front of a sign. There's no code that says you can't be where you can't see signs.
Well,
on the side of the
then
road,
why have a sign?
because he's not always there.
He's there all summer, and that park doesn't get used much in the winter, which by little children because it's snowing. And things.
How do
That-
you-
Oh, the park.
Dave, that's not a valid, oh, we don't have an ordinance for it, so we don't need an effective sign. Well, is that the way to have a safe street?
Well, I think the way we're gonna go here is to start thinking about, their safety.
And I
I'm
said,
concerned-
I think the line will help. I think handing out citations will help. I think people will still break rules,
Yeah.
as they do everywhere.
But the public doesn't know there's a rule in place if you're driving southbound on North Hauser, because you can't see the sign.
My
Can we lift
concern
this up?
with the lines
Okay.
is that there have been Septembers when winter started.
Okay.
And after the winter starts, it's gonna be too cold to paint a line.
It's still on the list and it'll still get painted. And I anticipate it before weather becomes a factor.
Okay. And that's my biggest concern is that weather becoming a factor and not being able to paint the line.
But I can also say, since the last meeting, they've done 8 new curb stops and 2 separate water mains not related to those curb stops.
Right.
Is moving the sign an option?
Wait a
Pardon?
Is moving the sign an option, or is that too hard?
It could be, but then that's like looking for your lost change down at the corner where the light is, because it's easier to see. If you drop it, that's where the sign needs to be.
And nobody can see it.
perhaps-
The trailer's there all summer.
Perhaps-
May I point out that whether it's there for 4.5 days and then moved, or it's there for 7 or 8 days, or, you know, in the current instance, it's been there for a week, You've got a problem with coming down Sixth Street, and that vehicle blocks your view the southbound vehicles coming from the north. It's not right on the corner, but it's close enough, and it blocks the 15-mile-an-hour sign. So, and we've got heavy traffic. We had especially heavy traffic yesterday, all day. I mean, north and south, I don't know if it's because they're using it instead of White Avenue, Airport Road. That's a possibility. But, I mean, if you're trying to, as I have done, come down Sixth Street and you're like easing out, it's sort of like coming onto Broadway with somebody parked right on the corner, right? And these people are, if they stop at the stop sign, they accelerate like a bat out of hell, going southbound towards, you know, the park and the IGA and stuff. And it's just, that's a problem. So you've got the white line, right, that's not there, that when it gets covered by snow, nobody's gonna, you know, it's gonna be back to like it's not there.
There's a stop sign and no line
There's
visible.
a stop sign and that's it. And it's like, let's just get the white line painted, you know, give me a roller and some white paint, I'll go out there, it may not be exactly to specs, but
Or
let's get
spray.
that done, let's get the guy is clearly thumbing his nose at the neighborhood and at, you know, whatever this ordinance is, if there even is one, for not parking, you know, it's like, there's a spirit of the law, he's not abiding by the spirit of the law or the intent of the law. He's thumbing his nose at it, that's all there is to it.
I was not present
The
when the
ordinance.
chief went and talked to him, but I also know we don't hand out tickets because we don't like what you're doing and we just don't like it or the neighbors don't like it. There's gotta be an ordinance. So the one conversation we had is he said, I think it's 10 days, and I said, I believe it's 5, go look at it. This was with the chief. But he, like I said, he specifically did. And I asked, what is the purpose of the cables? I don't recall the explanation that he gave, but he said he's not living with it. I don't know if he went inside and inspected it or looked at it, but he felt comfortable with doing that. He felt it was comfortable that it was being moved and wasn't outside of that.
Well,
So,
How hard is it, sorry, Jim.
no, go ahead.
How hard is it to add an ordinance saying you can't have a vehicle big enough that it blocks the speed limit sign?
this is the group that could do that.
Traffic.
I would-
There must be something in place, because I've called dispatch twice about, RVs blocking the stop sign, at, Southward and 11th, where I live. And he's come over and made them move.
And-
So
and-
how can he make them move if
And there
there's
may
not
be
an
a difference
ordinance?
for a stop sign versus a speed limit sign as
Oh.
well.
Well, let's put a stop sign.
I think there's a distance of how close
Here
you
you
can
go.
be to the corner on the stop sign.
Let's put a stop sign at 6.
That's something illegal.
I know that it's 10 feet from the curb, that you can't park within 10 feet of the curb.
I was thinking
Oh.
25 feet of an intersection, but
I think it's
that's
10
the
feet
state
of the curb.
code.
So you'll see yellow lines everywhere that are 10 feet from the curb,
That sounds accurate.
Are you talking about from the corner?
From the
or
intersection.
from the intersection,
From the intersection, yeah. He's back, he's not like parked right on the corner.
which is why the chief didn't cite him, because he wasn't.
Right.
I'm thinking about a different kind of tact. You said he has water and power. What if we explored an ordinance where an RV cannot hook up to a house's water and power? We've had problems with power cords before, and it would make it very inconvenient to live in it.
I would say if you were to revisit the camping ordinance, if you wanted to put that in there, say there cannot be utilities, but right now, the safety
Well,
trip
I
hazards would be the
think
things that I think we could cite.
Would be the way to
Yeah,
go.
because that's,
If he's not living there, is he running a business out of that? Is what I wondered.
Ron?
When you, consider that power and water, you need to be very specific as to what you're trying to stop, because I have my camper on my driveway. I'm getting ready for vacation. I hook up my water, I hook up my power to charge the batteries, and all of a sudden I get a citation.
Well, that's in your
So-
driveway.
But how you stated it was very general.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need to be specific about what you're trying to prevent.
And if I don't have a driveway, and so I'm taking
Yeah.
on vacation, so if that showed up for, but if that showed up for a day, and he's charging his battery and filling his tanks, that's not necessarily a problem, it's when it's been there for an extended period of time.
Patty?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I have a motorhome, or had a motorhome and a travel trailer, and we hooked them up, and I live on Bird, and, I mean, it's an awful tight road. There shouldn't be a motorhome parked on there anyway, but I had mine parked there because I didn't have a driveway. And we ran the cords out and charged it up for a couple days before we left, camping. So we would do that. Well, at least maybe 2 days, you know, like I'd go back and forth and load the camper, do the laundry. So it would take me a day or two to get it ready and then do the water and the propane and stuff, so I'd go back
You're
and
using the
forth.
lights, you're
Yeah.
sanitizing the system, so you're filling the tank and emptying it several times. And the other fact is that if you do a survey of how many houses in the city have driveways versus street parking, you're gonna find there's not a lot of driveways.
Right.
So it's an issue, but look at the unintended consequences. I think that's, I brought this up years ago when the mayor was on the city council. What are the unintended consequences when you're writing law?
Always.
And what's that impact? You know, and this particular issue is very irritating, obviously. But at the same time, are you gonna write a law that is going to affect people that are not
Abusing it.
creating that
Yeah.
kind of situation? So you have to be cautious about regulations and ordinances and what their unintended consequences will be.
I think a time frame thing might, you know, I mean, this guy's obviously there all summer with water and electric, you know, and campers and locals with trailers. It's just a 2-day thing or so, but I
And I
think that's
think we're back
realistic.
to where we said, call it in. I don't think there's an issue with calling it in every week, because they will respond, and that, they're not gonna wanna continue to get those calls either. And so they're gonna go out, and like I said, every time we have sat down and chatted, he said, I went over and I met with them, and this isn't being broke, this isn't being broke, this is where the concern is. And I don't know if the power was just keeping it charged up. It's easier
And the
to
water.
just leave it hooked up, and I don't know that, I can't speak to where, I know there's some things going out to it, because I recall that when I went by and looked at it. So, I think to say, hey, it's been there more than 5 days, and it still has this, and it still has that, make it a reoccurring call.
What if the chief, sent one of his officers at night to knock on the door of the camper?
I think they do that, I could certainly make that suggestion to him.
And if there's no one in there, then they're not living in it. If there is someone in there,
And I don't recall if that was part of how he said he's not, his comment was, he's not living in it. I feel comfortable that he's not living in it. So how he achieved that, I can't speak.
But, I'd like to just, Rod got a great point, but the point of blocking the stop sign, or blocking the speed limit sign is paramount to safety. The cords going across the street or the sidewalk are an issue, but they're not public
They're not
safety,
the
like
issue.
blocking a speed limit sign, which has been put up for the explicit purpose of safety for the usage that occurs at the park, and you cannot see it. There should be an ordinance or some way we could prevent that from happening, but apparently there's not, which is unfortunate.
I mean, what could it be? Large vehicles that block any
Traffic.
traffic,
Safety signs or
any
whatever.
traffic signs?
And we can't do any other signs or move the sign to accommodate this person. We can't add a stop sign for no reason, or
Where
For a
does
good
the
reason.
first 15-mile-an-hour sign occur on that street?
Right there, right there, right there.
Six?
Yeah.
Just north of Six.
So,
So I can look for how are the ways to deal with a block speed limit sign.
Short of moving it to fix.
Well, yeah, an additional sign or relocate.
Okay.
And that's the one that's fairly faded too, isn't it?
yeah.
It's the problem too.
Good stuff. No, no.
So it needs
so
to be
the issue
replaced
primarily
anyway.
southbound
Anyway.
traffic, is that?
Yeah.
Can we make it 20 feet tall?
Come out to the street, around the RV.
Yeah, I don't know if the problem is the height of the sign.
It is short,
And
and
I
half the
think
sign.
we've had a
Neon light,
conversation, I don't
right
remember,
there.
I don't know if it was in here or if it's just conversation I've had with staff, but we've talked about whether to paint the 15 in the road too.
Yeah, and that
Um,
sounds interesting as well.
For
What-
summer.
When are you gonna have time to do that?
Waiting for
Wait.
paving to happen or something?
Pardon?
Before they put that much paint down, they want
There,
Road
well,
repair?
before they did the stop sign, but with stop words next to the stop line, that was what they were waiting for.
Mhm.
The line we went ahead and bumped up because it's a low enough ask that,
It's a quickie.
Right.
Is the 15 that much more, don't they have?
well, it's stencils versus
Yeah.
just the line.
Yeah,
It seems like a simpler solution than writing a whole new ordinance would be to draw or paint
15 in the
miles an
road.
hour on
Just
on the
15.
actual pavement. It would
Okay.
save weeks and weeks of your committee time for just a few hours and a little investment in the
I think I
stencil
have
for
that.
okay.
speed limit.
Well, thank you, Mayor. If you will check that out for us, that would be wonderful.
Yep.
Do we have any update on Bear Safe?
There really isn't,
Because the bears are getting hungry now.
they are, I can tell you that July was the worst month we've had in town in the direct vicinities from the bear team. But I think we're still ahead of where we've been in previous years.
I heard there was a grizzly sow close to town, or,
They're all around, we live in bear country.
I heard that she was going to be trapped, and I didn't know
I have not seen or heard that update. I do know that they have a website now that you can go onto and see all of their relocates and stuff. It was
Is that
one of
Bear
those
Safe?
things- No, it's FWP has it, it's an FWP site.
Okay, that's
They
interesting.
have we get our updates every few weeks. We meet with our local bear technicians, I think, one of them's a technician and the other one is some other word.
Interesting term, technician. A bear technician.
technician.
And
I
I'm,
asked the difference and the answer was pay, so.
and I'm gonna go a little bit off of our agenda. Patty, you attended the Red Lodge Rural Fire Department last Wednesday and have a bit of a report.
Well, thank you so much. So I just sent that, to Kim, yesterday or the day before to, review and revise it. So, I wanna look through her revisions first, and then I'll share it with the committee, if that's okay. And then, I do wanna start doing this, whenever we meet, if that's okay. They meet once a month, and they have a lot of great information, and it's fire, district, so it relates to public safety, and sounds like a lot of conversations that happen over there with the fire department and the police and the city. There's a lot of conversations with the city and the council, so I think it would be good to, share that. And so I definitely want to, before I summarize and present that to you guys, have them approve it first to make sure I interpreted what they were saying correctly. So, we'll try to incorporate that in the future meetings, and I'll send those out to our committee, but, also, and you send it to the group too. So if anybody wants that information or just a little summary update of their meeting, they go over numbers in their budget and, projects at hand and what equipment they've ordered. They just ordered a new big box ambulance too, so, that'll be here in maybe 2 years, a year and a half to 2 years.
The build-out is very, very long.
It's huge, yeah, they thought it was a year, but it's a little more than that. But, there's a lot of great information, so if you guys want that, we'll make it available to you.
Great.
Thank you, and thank you, Sandy, for incorporating that too. I'll review it and send it out today for
Well, I thought it was
future.
interesting, the numbers that they had, a number of calls and types of calls.
Oh, yeah, and I have, I don't think I printed those out, but, they do comparison, and annual and month-to-month comparison and stuff, so it's good to see, where the majority of calls are coming from, so it is really interesting data.
I was curious if they broke it down between city and county.
I don't think so, I think it's just a Red Lodge, do you know, Red Lodge Rural Fire District, but I don't know, I don't remember seeing that broken down. But I'll look at the report closer
I'm
and
kind of
see
curious.
where the majority of the calls are coming from, if it's in town. I feel like it was county, and so, from what I recall, I'll double check.
Because it's a fire district, not,
Yeah.
Red Lodge
Red
Fire.
Lodge
The
is
ambulance
pretty
is
small.
also a district.
and the ambulance is a district.
And I think one of the things to always remember too, fire is something that municipalities are required to provide, which is why we pay the 28 mills to the fire department. Ambulance is not a required service at all, and that's why there's a separate ambulance district. And while they operate out of the same building and they share a lot of resources, they're two different funding sources and two different kind of reporting chains, as it were.
That's why I thought it'd be kind of interesting, since we're paying them 28 mills, what are the city residents getting for it? How many calls for service? Same deal as the fire department, as the police department. Calls for service types of calls would be something that I'd like to see what our 28 mills are buying.
Okay.
I would like to see it, I think it makes more sense, and I think this is a future conversation once we get the budget passed tonight. I think before the next budget cycle, we need to look at, seriously at the process of what they call annexing into the fire thing. That the part I want to make sure is when we have that conversation is that is the equivalent of that is an increase in taxes because they will pay for that separately and they'll still be paying that 28 mills to the city. And I absolutely like how much easier that eases the burden on the city for the city load. But I think rather than saying, we're gonna have a public safety mill, we're gonna have a sidewalk, or a site like this, a street district, we've had all these suggestions for all these individual tax districts. I think it makes more sense to first take care of the fire, which I think puts that off. It just needs to be a very open conversation. This does increase to an increase to the taxpayer. But the reason I like that is because that way, if the fire department determines that they need more money, they go directly to the voter. What I don't like is them coming to us and saying, hey, we have to raise it, we need more money for this, we need more money for that, we need to renegotiate the contract, and the voter isn't involved in the process at all. I don't want them making that case to us, I want them making that case to the voters.
That's why I was curious whether the city is supporting the county in the fire district.
It's all one big department.
I understand that, but
And I
what are
can
we
tell you
getting
that from a
for it?
mill standpoint, city residents pay a higher mill equivalency for the service than what folks in the county do.
Exactly.
And and I have a concern about that.
And that's why I'd like to see it broken out as to how many calls for service were within the city limits versus county. Because I'd like to see what we're getting.
But that's fire, not ambulance.
Okay, fire.
Ambulance, we have no, it's not our circus.
Is fire, that's all it covers?
Is
Fire?
Yeah, fire's just fire, it's not ambulance.
And I may have sent you that document late last night, like
You
at
did.
9:30. Okay, from Kim. Okay, I was like,
You
oh, I
did, you
think I
sent me a document,
with the
and
numbers.
that's what I was looking at numbers, but I didn't see it broken down. I
Okay.
mean, how many fires have been in the city limits?
I think these are good things to ask, Sandy, so I like it.
You don't like it?
I'll back you asking these questions.
Thank you. Yeah,
And I did talk with Tom a couple of times. He said something about, legally, to make changes to the agreement or so, it has to be like 6 months in advance. So we were thinking maybe before the end of this year, before June 30th of next year or whatever, if we can get all, important
Just our
parties.
contract is a 6-month heads up so they can build it into their budget.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking like public health and safety, city council, resort tax, people, mayor, you, fire district and police department, and whatever other,
I'd like to see a
parties.
list of services that the fire department provides
Provide.
for the citizens of Red Lodge,
They do inspections
which they get paid for individually.
for some of them.
Yeah.
City, okay.
And obviously they're, when they inspect a short-term rental, they get paid for that. So that's not one of their duties to the citizens of Red Lodge. do they clear fire hydrants? I haven't seen them out at fire hydrants.
They have cleared fire hydrants, they've done that recently.
I was gonna say on what kind of a basis, I'd like to have a list of what they provide to the city of Red Lodge for the 28 mills. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I can ask Kim for that.
That would be,
Okay.
that would be where, what I'd like to see what we're getting for our 28 mills. Because I'm concerned that our 28 mills are actually supporting the county, and they're not even paying as much as we are. But that's me being grumpy.
Yeah, well, looking at the report with the numbers, you're right, it just says public service, dispatched, emergency service incident, it doesn't say.
There's a lot of
City or county.
emergency, yeah, there's a lot of ambulance
County.
in there,
Medical.
but, is there anything in there for fires? How many fires they actually, see that, you see where I'm coming?
Yep.
I know that when we have a fire, it's gonna be great, but
We'll be ready.
it's gonna be great.
I say that.
Great to have
We
a
want more
fire.
fire. Great.
Rod,
I think, as you guys consider this, that you have two issues. One is the city's responsible to provide fire,
right,
okay? So somehow, the citizens of Red Lodge have to participate in fire, whether it's through the mills or some kind of tax levy. But if the city abandons participation, then it becomes a direct increase to the taxes of the citizens who live within the city limits. If it goes a different direction, so you gotta balance how your decisions are affecting the cost of living for the people who own property in the community. How these changes affect the taxpayers.
no, and I don't,
Because what will happen is if you remove the 28 mills, put it back into the general budget, we're gonna have a tax increase
for fire.
for fire that goes directly to the property owners in the city.
So the only one that wins is the city.
The only one that wins is the city as
And the
far as
taxpayers
having
lose.
more cash flow in their general budget for other projects.
Well,
But the taxpayer doesn't win because they've got to pay for it somewhere else.
well, I'm thinking that,
So you got to find that balance as to what's fair.
I'm
And-
going
and
the
just
other
understand
direction.
that your decisions are going to have a financial effect on the property owners, and if it's rentals, that gets passed on to the renters. You know, it's,
Right, I'm thinking more about a reduction in the mills than I am thinking about taxing the taxpayer. I think that for 28 mills, we need to assess, it's just a negotiating tool. Why should we pay 28 mills when it's really only worth 10? You know, or that we're required to supply fire, protection, okay, but is it worth 28 mills for what we're getting? And that's where I'm kind of going. I don't support, taxing the populace through a levy at all. I don't wanna do that. But the 28 mills is kind of the question is, are we getting our money's worth for 28 mills, or should that mills be reduced? And that would be going to the mayor in the negotiations. And having the numbers would be the tool to do that. Okay, well, it's 1:15,
Okay, then, okay,
so
I don't have anything.
open to anything else?
Well, I closing, the 9th to 10th Street block of North Billard. I kind of looked into it, and it's a little more complicated than us just doing it, or, I mean, we gotta talk to everybody. I think, I don't know, tell me, I talked to Dennison first, and then, you know, it's, you gotta talk to, even though Beartooth, the Boys and Girls Club, the Beartooth Children's Center, I mean, you assume they want this to happen, but I think we should tell them we're thinking about this. And if the homeowners, I just hate doing things with, oh, we close the street. And I will talk to Dennison and research more of this, but I don't know if I need guidance, I guess, if I'm going down the right track. But I thought the suggestion was, had a positive response last time, and I just wanted to follow up on that. If that's something,
Rod, did you have a comment?
I've looked at it as well. One of the unintended consequences is that the vehicles, the trucks that deliver to the store will be forced one block deeper into your residential in order to get turned around and back down to Broadway. Because the way our dock is, the smaller trucks can turn right and go towards your neighborhood.
Yay.
Or the bigger trucks, which can't, they don't have that turn radius, are gonna have to go up and around the park and now come back down to,
They go up to like,
They go up
Ward,
to Word,
yeah.
and then go down that narrow little part of Ward and down 8th Street back towards the, band
They
shell.
have to,
that's not good, is it?
because they're too big to make
Yeah,
a tight right turn.
that tight right turn back onto Hauser.
So it's just one of those things,
Sure.
as you explore it,
right.
think about how much bigger this crowd might get as you push more commercials into residential.
Right.
Just a thought, and it's not significant, we get, half a dozen large trucks a week that would have to take that route, the smaller
That's
trucks
significant.
can do a right-hand turn. There's no delivery trucks that are gonna make a U-turn behind the store.
No.
And they go up
I
around the
appreciate
tennis courts.
The information,
Just
yes,
Think about how that affects traffic flow.
yeah. It's
And
not
And whether going left or right on Word is still gonna be an impact on those residences.
Right.
Do those delivery trucks come in early in the morning?
Not necessarily,
No.
no.
I can offer that, and with staff, the response is, when I sat down with staff, the Public Works Director's feedback was, write a dozen tickets and then come talk to me about it, but write some tickets and see if that doesn't fix the problem before we start closing down streets.
Yeah.
And the chief's response was, that's fair, so that's kind of where it sits from a staff standpoint.
Okay.
I think it's a little more complicated than after looking at
As
it.
simple as
Yeah,
closing
'cause
the
I
street
would just get on,
for safety,
but
yeah.
not against it, but it, I think the chief,
There might be some
I think
other ways.
chief will do what he says he's gonna do, do some tickets and see how we can, make that road, that street
Safer.
safer.
Is the problem mostly not stopping or speeding or both going through that part of the LART there?
I don't know.
I think it's volume.
Volume?
It's
And
congested.
speed,
Congested.
yeah.
Because, you know,
Patty?
as I was writing the minutes, we've got a lot of stuff there. Pickleball, the field, and 3 things on the east side.
There's always something going
Yeah.
on there.
Patty?
Well, I was just gonna say, do you want me to like invite, Beartooth Children's Center, director, or
I
them
don't think we're there
here
yet.
for
I don't think we're there
conversation?
yet.
Or even just awareness, like maybe they could be conscientious, see when they're out, you know, to maybe have their staff
I
Pay
say
attention.
invite them, that we are
just
having
get
this
their input
discussion.
and see what the problem is
Maybe
from
they have
them
a fix,
firsthand, you know.
or
Yeah.
is there a problem?
Yeah, they would know firsthand if they're there every single day and they're the ones watching the children and watching the cars and
Yeah.
watching the
I think as
flow
long as
and
they're
volume.
very consistent about keeping those barriers in the crosswalks,
Yeah,
it should, but sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not, and I think you've gotta be consistent.
yep, yeah, and that's something we
Or,
can share
or
with
get
them.
bigger, get barrels, someone said last week, but
But those have to be removed every time a larger vehicle has
Truck
to
or something.
make that turn.
Or it's gonna be knocked over?
well, just
Otherwise, they get run over.
then keep the same barriers then. I don't know, I just be consistent.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'll invite them
I
in,
mean,
maybe they have
it's
some
probably
good
a nicer
insight.
way to say it, but if you want something to change a little bit, you gotta make it a little bit inconvenient.
Okay,
There's
one
a
last-
one-way stop on each end of that
Yeah.
block.
No, not on, not south. There's only 2-way stop down on
Two-way.
10th.
So make it a four-way
Yeah.
stop, and then vehicles
Right there.
Okay,
are going to.
we're hitting our,
Okay.
we're hitting our end
Yeah,
here.
okay, but
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Four-way
It's been a
stop.
problem for years.
I would ask the committee to, think about priorities projects, something that we haven't done since the beginning and you're both newer.
I got a suggestion.
Yeah,
Study what ordinances could be eliminated.
There you go, that one.
Reduce the
Take
size
a
of your
while.
ordinance book. There might be some that were written that no
A long
longer
time ago.
apply, or
that women
make
must
sense.
wear a hat.
Who's not wearing a hat?
Oh, women.
Yeah,
Hope
or-
has something to say.
I just have a quick question. Is there an update on the, Brewery Hill Trail? My daughter understood that there was some sort of commission looking at that, for the-
We have not heard, yeah, we've actually applied, that's another one of those grants we applied for, and I think it's October is when we're expecting to hear back from them, whether we've got that or not, so.
Yeah,
Just for
it-
me, or you just push it?
But nothing's changed recently.
That
No, there has been no
Just
recent
change.
action or change on it, other than I have been in a couple of meetings with them. I did have a meeting, the roundabout at 2 Mile Bridge is back within the 5-year plan and scope, and I did throw in some things about the trail, because it was all the right people in the room. And, so that decision is still, we're fresh on their minds, but that's October when they're making that call.
Okay. I'm gonna officially close the,
Thank you, Sandy.
Public
Thank you,
health and
everyone.
safety.
Thanks for coming.